If there is anywhere that describes the old school nature of iRacing, it is here. A circuit that used to be run each and every single season, but with the large influx of magically brilliant FIA Grade 1 tracks, running a roval like this one now becomes a piece of history and legacy when it comes to iRacing content. We find ourselves at a place which for the longest time has been the season ender for NASCAR. We are here at Homestead Miami Speedway, but this time we're using the road course, and not just any road course, the B variant of the road course. Welcome to coverage here on the Global SimRacing Channel of your IMSA Vintage series. We're going old school once again. Jake Sperry and Craig King, the Somerset duo, bringing you everything that you want, with Christian Deploy in the director's chair using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. But to a circuit that on the outside has been something that most people won't quite know about. Let's get an understanding of this place if you're here for the first time and the chaos that will ensue with your GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Homestead Miami Speedway. South of the city of Miami and just east of Homestead, this track is definitely more well known for hosting the season finale of the NASCAR Cup Series for many years. However, sports cars have taken advantage of its infield road course for a few decades as well. Two layouts exist, with the A course running 2.2 miles over 12 turns, and the B course clocking 2.3 miles over 10 turns. It presents some rather interesting challenges. In both cases, the first corner is a sweeping left-hander which dares the brave to enter as quick as they can, while saving the braking for turn 2 until the very last moment. It makes it very easy to go just a bit too wide and clip the grass, sending you spinning. From there, the track tightens up into a pair of slow hairpins. But then the car's horsepower gets unleashed with two long straights leading into more hairpins that offer great passing opportunities. From there, the B course includes a simple flight around the oval turns 3 and 4. But the A course takes you on a frightening ride through a swift set of left-handers. Then the final chicane tests who can get the better exit onto the long blast back into the first corner. It may be less famous than the oval itself, but this road course has hosted IMSA, Grand Am, and the FIA GT Championship in its short history. Since 1995, it's been a playground for South Florida's road racing fans, and thanks to iRacing, many more can enjoy this roval's challenges.
So when it comes to a place like Homestead, Miami, here in the panhandle of Florida, it is a circuit here today that has two very unique distinctions. The first of which is, where can you make a pass today? 1 into 2 into 3 is the best place to make a move. The other great place is turn 8. So you've got two great places to make a pass here, Craig. But the issue here from this circuit built in 1995 is that you've got that long drafting ability over the banking 9 and 10. NASCAR 3 and 4 will mean that everyone is going to have to be very well behaved when it comes to lapping.
Yeah, this is Road Course B, aka the best variant. That's what I feel, but it's also called the alternate road layout here. Last time we raced here, it was the infield section. Instead of taking the oval banking, we took the inside chicane, but this opens up a lot of chances for overtaking, a lot of chances as well, not just in multi-class overtaking, because some drivers this week, they've been questioning, do we take a little bit of wing out? It's not a Daytona roval. You don't have a lot of time on that banking, so you have to be careful. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some of the GTOs hit the brakes there, but to get there, you've got to navigate the track first, and that's through 6 and 7. I almost call it a double apex hairpin. It comes at you quick, especially when you've got traffic ahead.
And there will be a lot of traffic here today because we got 47 cars out there on circuit. But let's talk about the championship and where everybody stacks. 3 wins from the first 4 rounds of the season, says Jacob Reed, is the driver to beat in your GTP field. But it's only Shadi Ahmad who's been able to get a level of consistency going through 4 results to be chasing down by 3. Brendan Lim and Ilka Cotasalo are tied on points for 3rd, while 5th becomes a very close battle. 9 points, 5th through 10th, with Jack Wells staving off Nicholas Mucanos and Gabri Martinez in 7th place. Christopher Lenajak is in 8th position, with the World Canducci Robert Plumley 9th. tying along with Brandon White, who rounds out the top 10 in the category. GTO is just as interesting of an affair.
GTO is the name of the game, is be here and you'll be in the points. Mickey Friesen leads by 1 point on the Virtue. He has been at every race this season. He's not had the best of results. However, being here and consistent is crucial. Just 4 drivers in this top 10 have attended all 4 races this season. Johan van Hicht missed out on week 2, but a win and 2 podiums allows him to be in P2 just behind Noah Lundberg. Another win and another podium as well. And then the rest of the drivers, apart from JD Rodriguez, only one of them has been on a podium this season, which is Philip Lake. You look how close it is, though, between Hawkins, Haycox, Cloud, Schuster and Young. Early days, but if you can just start to string up a run of points and a run of races, you've got a chance to be in that top 5.
You really do, and it means that consistency will be king. You do have drop rounds available, so you can have a sense of your best rounds are going to score over the course of the season. We'll keep an eye on that as it all progresses. They're currently in qualifying at the moment, so let's talk through the race details of what they've got to deal with here in the meat and potatoes of the season right now. Round 5 of 12, heading towards halfway. 40 minutes this race will be with open setup, so everyone has a chance to fine-tune and fettle their way up to the very top of the field. Now, if you do get into trouble, and we expect that drivers will get into trouble today, there's no spare car to bail you out, and of course, they've got 17 instant points to play with for a drive-through penalty, and there will be additional penalties that come through, and that additional penalty is disqualification at 25 incident points here today. So a lot to try and navigate through in some, quite frankly, astounding heat conditions here today for this circuit. 30-degree air temperature, 55-degree track temperature. To say that you can boil an egg on this circuit and fry it up is an understatement. I think we're going to have that cooked in about 10 seconds here in the Panhandle.
Well, it's a hot one, like 7 minutes from the midday sun, so Santana wrote for one of his songs. 55 Celsius, 131 Fahrenheit. Jacob Reed coming around the banking. He tops that at 296 kilometers an hour before he brakes. He's going to curve across the line. It is not good enough to improve him. He's 3/10 off Nicholas Makanos. This says to me that some of these drivers are running less wing just for qualifying, because of these times are pretty crazy. Noah Lundberg will come in hard to the first corner, but he's already done his lap, and he gets on pole. And look at the closeness of the top 5. In fact, the top 6 in GTO, 5th and 6th, are tied on times.
Yeah, it is a wonderful qualifying at the moment. Danny Thomas on his final lap in the number 42 machine with the rainbow Go Faster flames all across the car. Currently down without a time, one of only 5 drivers in the entire field not to set a time, and 4 of them are in GTP, so they will be split by iRacing if they don't get the opportunity to do so. So now exiting turn 8, all nice and neat, and onto the oval banking, and this is where you feel there's not really much more that you can do. And the way that you find the banking around this place, this is not a circuit that you want to throw it right down to the bottom. Running the middle line can be beneficial, especially the longer that you go and the more wears on the tires. 1:14.5 only for Danny Thomas, so it was a slow lap by his standards, which puts him actually behind some of the GTOs out there, but effectively from where he is 29th, he will get an elevation of where he stands in qualifying as we watch Carlos Fonseca.
Yeah, I think a lot of that just came down to just missing a few gears. We did see him come out of 8. Needed to get the power down, and that's a corner that's going to be a bit of an issue when it comes to multi-class, as the GTOs can keep their speed up a bit easier than these GTP. Let's see if Carlos is able to tackle turn 8. You brake deep, you turn late, and you can get on the throttle well. He's done that as good as he can, and now he's onto this. Thankfully, using the downforce they've got allows them just to really flirt with a different line. You would be trying to look for the apron here, but it isn't viable. You can see he's on what they call the second line in NASCAR terminology here. Try to hold on, try to then keep it deep. Not going to hold the line here to cross ahead. Goes right up to the top. It's an invalid lap. That's 2 invalid laps for him. He will start at the back of the field behind Danny Thomas.
And so that is why you qualify, because it gives you opportunities to move on through and position yourself in a wonderful place. That will be everybody done as far as qualifying goes. We've got a lot of names to go through, so we can say that the grid is now stacked as far as qualifying goes, as the one-chip challenge car makes its way around Homestead, Miami. This is your grid, and it's the number 6 of Nicholas Mucanos who will be on the pole position with a 105.406. Ferran Grau will be alongside for company, the Andorran, then along the front row. Ilka Cotasalo will go from 3rd, along with the championship leader, Jacob Reed, in 4th position in GTP, as Christopher Lenajak and your second driver in the championship, Shadi Ahmad, will go from 6th position. In 7th will be Brendan Lim, with Pepe Fuentes in 8th position. Sean Langton and Seamus Power will make up your top 10, as Fabian Youngbluth and Javier Mosquera house row 6. The richest, I would say, beneficial out there on the outside of the circuit is in the track here for today. Forbes Marshall, what a rich name that is, in 13th, with Davide Riccardi in 14th. Robert Plumley and Brandon White tied on points in the championship next to each other on row 8. Andres Felipe Diaz will go from 17th, with Kurt Hau Jensen in 18th, along with Felix Nielsen and Danny Thomas, who we saw with that time, will go from 20th, leading the final 3 drivers in play. Carlos Fonseca on iRacing ahead of Joshua H.T. Lowe, and Jesse Hokum will round out your 23 cars in GTP. GTO with 24 cars today.
Yep, and it is in Noel Lundberg's hands as he leads them away with Johan Van Hicks in 2nd, followed by Andreas Schuster in 3rd, with Doug Cloud being a very good P4. And then it's Mickey Friesen in 5th and Philip Lake in 6th. Notice they both set at the same time. Mickey was 1st, though. Henry Morse will be in 7th, with Shane Hawkins in 8th. Then Ian Haycock's in 9th, and Josh Brain in 10th to round out the first page. With Aitor Sintez Galindo, and I apologize, I've said that wrong again, my friend, in 11th in the GTOs again. Roman Bello will be 12th. Matteo Lorenzi will be 13th, Emilio Di Chiari in 14th. And then it's Martin Krajcik in 15th, with Emerson Gordon making his first start in a while in 16th. Henry Viomaki will take 17th, with Paul Clavier in 18th. And then Steve McLean will be 19th, with Luke Silio in 20th. And we do have those 4 last drivers. 3 of them set a time out there today. Estario Alvarez will be in 21st. Rob Kubat will take 22nd. Kiki Mengel will be the last at the time, qualifies in 23rd. And Tyler Bramble will be trying to go through the brambles of a very hot track at the back of the field in 24th.
Well, to say in qualifying he didn't set a time, Tyler Bramble ambled out there as far as qualifying was concerned, and now will be looking to try and run through the pack and try and gain as much time as possible. Full pace lap here today behind the iRacing Porsche First safety car to get everyone in play, and we are right in the middle of the midday sun, and it's getting even hotter, and it is the talking point of today. Track temperature now 57 degrees Celsius. Have you ever?
No, never. In fact, the hottest I've ever driven on a track was Watkins Glen, and that only just gets up to 50. So this is really different. How do you drive in hotter track temp? Something I always love to hammer home on, Jay. How you drive in a hotter track temp? Smooth. Don't be aggressive with the steering. Don't be aggressive with the throttle. Smooth. It's tough in these cars to be smooth, but they're going to have to. And I just want to give a shout out here. I see palm trees. I see fans. This is the first time we've been to Miami since the latest refresh. And I've got to say, you're looking sharp, girl.
Yeah, we love to be at Homestead Miami Speedway. In terms of our elevation, we are 1 meter, by the way, above sea level here today. And I'm sure that when they hit the top side of the banking, they will be 2 meters above sea level. That is about how much they've got to work with, and it's not surprising when sometimes you see flooding or hurricane season that this circuit finds a way to get underwater. But who is going to be swimming with sharks, and who is going to be scuba diving like the best of them out there and avoiding all the dramas that are to unfold? Nicholas Mucanos is a very dependable set of hands when it comes to racing action, and I would not be surprised as far as racing goes that he is the driver that everyone's got to find a way through. You cannot miss the Lotus colours, or I like to say for Jacob Reed from where he's from, the colours of Worcestershire on his car, the green and the lighter green / yellow that is found at the Worcestershire pair, which is on the front stripe that he's got right through the middle of his car. He will look to challenge. As far as that second group is concerned, it's a who's who in GTO. Barney Waits with the green flag, all nicely creased and ready for racing action. A lovely jump off of the start, and they're underway. One driver was not awake to it, and I think it was Ilka Cotasalo making that run into 1, 2, and 3. Through turn 2, they managed. GTO gets itself underway with equally zero dramas.
Yeah, well, the only drama there is Jan Van Hicks. He had the inside line. We do have Josh Brain already going around in the background, a couple other cars going around. But the key thing is Van Hicks had the inside line going into the corner for turn 1 and turn 2. He takes the lead away from Lundberg, and they're going to have to do it all again, side by side. Schuster making a mistake. Philip Lake up 2 to start this race.
Oh, so Andreas Schuster now looking for progress here. Doug Cloud now in 3rd. Philip Lake into 4th position, and they're going to have to work here in this train right now. As you look in front, Philip Lake getting a little out of shape now, and this will open up the door here to turn 8. It's a great place to make the pass. Schuster then down the inside and gets the move done, and now trying to nibble and find a way through. Henry Morse is going to try and find his way through, and he'll go underneath the oval line there, the line that indicates the apron, try and get a little bit of straight line. Mickey Friesen on the back, giving a nice little search.
Yeah, nice little search, and now this is what we expect to see in the GTOs. A little bit of a slipstream, but let's get back to what's happening in the GTPs. Seamus Power having a really good run, and I say that he's gone a little bit wide. Jake, you said that it's 1 meter above sea level, 2 meters when they get to the top of the banking. That's the only elevation change there. Through that corner 3, 4, and 5, they go down and back up there. They're almost basically on sea level at that point as Fabian Jungblom trying to find his way through. Everybody's still bunched up here except for the leaders, who have kind of checked out a little bit.
And the thing about being at sea level is you actually get maximum power out of the engines. When you go up to, say, the Red Bull Ring, and that's in the middle of the mountains, you actually lose a little bit of power by comparison because the air is there and it is thinner. A big moment for Forbes Marshall. What a save from keeping that out of the barriers. That looked destined to go, I would say, stage left and into the safer barrier on the inside.
Well, one thing's for sure, he managed to get that under control, slammed on the brakes as fast as he could, and that's what you want to see. He'll lose a couple positions, going to be losing another one here maybe as Jensen will look to go through, does not. This is one of the things I love about this track. It's this turn 1, he goes wide though, does Marshall. It goes a little bit wide, love it, but side by side for the GTOs as well. The leaders have gone side by side, and Lundberg cannot hold on to this. Look at this. This is why I love it, Jake. You can go full throttle into turn 1 and only stop braking when you hit turn 2.
Yes, and so you get some drivers who want to take a little bit of pace off it. Doug Cloud decides in the iRacing flag system he's going to represent Bermuda here today, and why not? This is the perfect weather for Bermuda shorts out there at this stage, and he'll be having a little nibble about to see whether he can go through. This is going to be very difficult. Now, off the start, Josh Brain, so immediately he's made contact there and up over the top, and it's just a chain reaction as you go through. Very tough to slow through 1 into 2, and the Castrol car finds itself pinned on the apex. 2 more cars then were able to avoid, but for the moment it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think this goes all the way back to Mickey Friesen at the moment, and Doug Cloud here in the lazy mode at the moment as he runs on through. H-pattern shifting his way through with that little bit of a lean back that he's got, and just having to put the steering in through the oval. Now, you don't often get to say that too much, as that is very high by Noel Lundberg, almost tagging the wall out of NASCAR 4.
Yeah, as the Americans would say, he probably got a little bit tight coming out of turn 4, but we just call that a little bit of understeer, but keeps it under control. I wonder if it's a little bit of dirty air just affecting these cheese blocks that we like to call them as they now go down quickly. And it's interesting to see Doug new livery. We're not used to seeing him in something that isn't the white and the blue. The Zamboni's gone, unfortunately. He's got something a little bit more aggressive, and he's really started to show a lot of aggression this season, really putting it to the drivers. P3's great at the moment. No one will be looking to make moves here in the GTOs for a while at the front, Jake. They're just going to be hoping they can survive the first wave of multi-class traffic. With that, the back of this GTO field is just heading turn 6. The lead of the GTP field is in the middle of 4 and 5.
Craig, real question here. What good is a Zamboni in 57-degree heat?
Well, would you like to do some drifting? I don't know. If anyone doesn't know, there's Farron Grau going off. If you don't know the story of the Zamboni, we'll have to say it later. Farron having a little bit of a moment there going wide, and that's the issue you get with 1 and 2. You want to keep the speed up in 1 and 2, but then you got to make sure you slam on the brake, and it was not happening.
Well, Nicholas Mucanos leads. Jacob Reed's trying to hunt it down at the moment. It's then Elena Jacques as Lundberg. Door open here for the move down the inside. Doug Cloud having to slide about slightly off the road. There goes the car of Noel Lundberg, and move gets made. Andreas Schuster, wrong side of the road if you want to pass, buddy. Get back in line, join the train, and ultimately it's a case to go forward. Born to lose and live to win. So at this moment in time, Doug Cloud has got himself the mantra on the back to try and work with. Little search down to the inside. Philip Lake and Henry Morse there having a little bit of a dibble and dabble about, trying to work out where they can go. But the groups are starting to open up here. Shadi Amada's lost the group here, 3rd and 4th, down in 5th, as here comes Mickey Friesen to the outside, trying to work number 7 out of P7. And at the moment, as he hides behind his microphone here, he hopes that he's going to get a good run following those in the slipstream.
Well, he tried to go around the outside of 8. He's done a really good job to try and hold on to them on the outside of 8. As the lead GTPs go through the start of the GTOs, this is good. And Friesen gets a lot more speed here. Around the outside, it just goes to show why you want to try and keep high and not on the line. Now, he can't go around the outside of 1, 2, and 3 here. He realizes that because he would be completely in the marbles. He's going to try a late move like Doug. Can't do it. So you've had this battle. Now let's get back working together, because they're losing the pack, and that's probably what Friesen's going to be thinking right now.
Yeah, this is going to be nightmarish as Ilka Kotasalo tries to get into 3rd place against Christophe Lenajak here to make that pass, and on the brakes through 2. You've got to be so careful about the traffic. You can see Jacob Reed having to deal with it. Big lunge through, and this is where it gets difficult. These slow speed corners, they house the same speed because all of the downforce and pace through the corners is generated by the aerodynamic grip in the GTPs, but on mechanical grip, it's the GTOs that win out.
Yeah, and then as you see, we've got 2 different views here, the onboard and the offboard. You see, once you get past 6, you can get flat on in 7. But if you're Costasalo right now, you're struggling because you can't get back on the throttle in time. You have to allow the cars to just take the normal line, as what the Audis are doing. So he's lost a lot of time there, now getting caught up almost in Shadi and Mad's grip. But the thing I was keeping my eyes on, Mechanos had quite a lead to Jacob Reed. Jacob Reed's caught up there, so we'll keep an eye on that as more battles happening as Seamus Power. Very quiet start. He's trying to make his way on through, having a real good time. That's not a line to take from Cotasalo, however.
No, Ilka having to go the long way around as he had a big lunge down the inside and almost thumps out of the way there, down 2 wheels under the apron with Emerson Godin, who will be not very happy about that. Miscommunication in play, but the group, off. That's going to be Emerson Godin again, the number 21. No love with the lap traffic here. Pepe Fuentes to the inside, grabs a quarter panel.
Yeah, we keep an eye on this lead battle as well. That's a moment, that's where you have to slow down. That's the moment you have to say, no, you cannot get past me in this car in any sort of multi-class between a prototype and a GT. That point, the moment you're right there at 2, you've got to stop. And unfortunately, that was just a little bit of probably keeping too much speed up there from the GTP. These guys have been keeping speed up, though, because this is Mechanos and Reed. And I tell you what, Lesniak's almost catching up to this. They're still going to have a few cars left to go. They've only been through half the GTO field at the moment. These guys have still got another 1/3 of the GTO field to go.
And another 75% yet of the race to try and conduct. So at least as groups go, it gets interesting. So go down here. Oh, he just turns in on him. You can't turn in on a car expecting it not to be there. You've got to look in your mirrors.
He's got to look at his mirrors, but at the same time, you've got to respect that the car's ready to turn in there. And, you know, the GTO has to turn in at some point. Any car has to turn in at some point. It could be a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, unfortunately. It's just one of those multicast moments. And again, we bring that to the fact, not a lot of people drive this track nowadays. It was a staple back in the old days of iRacing. To me, it's one of the best rovals on the sim, just for moments like this right now. Reed, McCannell still battling. Lesniak has lost a second and a half through traffic.
Well, you say it's one of the best rovals on sim. I say it's one of the best rovals full stop out there. It is a wonderful circuit. Formula E have certainly proven it's a great circuit for racing, as well as Mucanos tries to hold away. Pepe Fuentes back there in 7th position, having to go through a slew of cars right now, like Roman Bello and Shane Hawkins and Matteo Lorenzi, who are all trying to give themselves the range. Crossovers come into play as they go through. That's all right, but on the back of the leaders group here, Nicholas Mucanos has a very interesting plight here. Got to get through the top 5, who will not want to move at all right now, and you can see that illustrated by Philip Lake. He's going to fight back on the inside. He's got every reason to try and hold the draft. Now he's lost it.
He's lost it, but I think he'll gain it back because there are 4 cars up ahead. Mechanics cannot overtake all 4 going into this corner. In fact, it's just 1. Now, the problem is now he can't get on the throttle in time, and neither can Jacob Reed. He's going to have to wait for the moment as well. And who is the worse off from this? Well, surprisingly, it's the man who's got to get past 1 car. It's Jacob Reed who struggled. And again, more cars between them and hard on the brakes of Mechanos. That just goes to show these GTPs, they almost going slower through turn 8 than the GTOs.
Yeah, they've got to get the car woed up and turned into the corner. They manage it, but that gap comes back to 0.8 of a second. So Jacob Reed, who has either been a winner or out as far as racing points have concerned him, is now looking to get his 4th win out of 4 finishes this season. So he's certainly got eyes and focus on what he needs, but this is Ferran Grau again running off the road at turn 2 again. He is having no luck with going through turn 1 and 2 because it needs the trail brake. Then he's got no slipstream. He does a Grosjean flick spin to create a smoke screen for everyone. They just about avoid major drama.
The name's Grau, Ferran Grau, and he's got the DB7 with the little smoke screen on the back like it was in GoldenEye. But that is unfortunate for him. The man who started in 2nd, remember, it's not been the best of races for him. One to remember here for Noel Lundberg at the moment, still battling. Lost the lead at the start of the race, lost another position to Doug Cloud. Key thing, he's still battling with Cloud, but where's Van Hicks? He's about 1.5 seconds up the road. They've lost the slipstream here due to what's happened in the traffic, and this is what the drivers feared, because now the top 2 are in their own little group. 4th down to 7th are in their own little group. Johan Van Hicks is chilling right now. He doesn't have to worry too much.
So what would you rather see, Craig, in this situation here for someone, for 2 people like Noel Lundberg and Doug Cloud? Would you rather see them together working to try and get back, or would you trust Joran Van Hicks with a gap to run away?
Well, the problem is Van Hicks has been known to run away. And when he isn't threatened, he just drives pretty calmly. But at the same time, they also have to worry because they've only seen 8 of the 23, well, it's 20 cars now, as Ford Marshall's in the pit, of the 20 GTPs. It's the back half of the GTPs they're going to be worried about. The top half, they know how these drivers drive sometimes. They understand that these drivers, their cadences. Some of these are newer drivers at the bottom of the GTP field. No offense taken for any of those drivers. They don't know what they're going to take and do here. That's going to be the problem. They're going to have to just keep a lot of alert here. And I think because of that, Van Hicks might have almost just been drawn in here from Doug Cloud.
Yeah, and they'll have another group coming through. Seamus Power there, Javier Mosquera, Fabian Youngbluth is another one trying to get through it all. And so you're looking around, and it's going to stagger more and more as this race goes. So you're going to get a massive influx on the first run through, but then on that second run through, third run through, there's the car, pretty in pink, of Javier Mosquera, making that run on by and doing a wonderful job of making the pass, and the mock-up Minolta, of Fabian Youngbluth is going to be there going through too. So Doug Cloud has managed to navigate through that without too many dramas. The question's going to be, how much has Joran van Hicks been held up? And the answer is 0.3 of a second. So pulls the gap back to 0.7. And there are interesting developments in GTP. Race for the lead is on, as is fourth with Shadi Ahmad looking to score some consistency points again.
Consistency is key. We got the leaders in the picture-in-picture as they come on to the backstretch. They will see next lap traffic once again. Yes, we're only on lap 13, about to start lap 14, and the GTP are seeing traffic again. Such is the nature of a 7-second delta on a track that is 70 seconds. That is going to be a little bit of a problem here for the drivers because it's going to be non-stop traffic, and especially with a field this big, the only clear bit of air right now is the front stretch. It's going to be chaotic in another 10 minutes.
Oh, it absolutely will. So keep your eyes peeled on what this circuit is going to be offering, and a tiny bit of respite on the track temperature as the cloud cover slowly goes over for a couple minutes, knocks a couple temperature gauges down at that stage. Rob Kubat overtaken. Now for Kike Mengual here trying to stay out of trouble. This is where it will go 3 wide as they run to turn 8. Jacob Reed on the outside looking for the way through here. He's later on the brakes. Car goes off in front. That will scare them, of Tyler Bramble deciding he is going to run through the grass. But again, drive off the exit is tantamount to this move. Jacob Reed trying to lean on for some side draft here as he goes up to second lane, trying to work around the outside of the oval, banking to go and make this move. Drive is going to be necessary off the exit as they figure out where they go. A tiny bit of toe in front from Eustasio Alvarez there, the Portuguese driver, and through goes Jacob Reed. What brilliant use and creativeness with the resources available.
And I tell you what, it is tough to go around the outside of 1-2 there to make an overtake. He needed that slipstream. He needed that extra boost of power just to be able to just make that effort. Mecanos knew he couldn't fight it. He decided to back off and live for another day. Question is, can he hold up to Jacob Reed right now? They are going to go through traffic, a lot of traffic. That might be a blessing for the man. However, I do wonder if the man from the States may not be his first home track here, but he is at Homestead. That is for something. He's now got to try and find the pace. It's going to be tough against one of the top drivers in Jacob Reed.
It's not Nicholas Mukanos' first rodeo. You can say it's not your first rodeo after doing 2 or more rodeos, so to speak. So if it's not your first rodeo, if it's your second rodeo, you can say, this ain't my first rodeo. But at least as they go, it is still about half a second, and now it's about tuning into where Jacob Reed's pace is. And this is a Jacob Reed, a former pro stripe when it comes to iRacing in the, what was the predecessor, the Grand Prix Turn Racing iRacing Series, as it gets close to Mukanos, compared to where he's been the forefather to the IndyCar iRacing Series. He's a 2-time iRacing Grand Prix Tour champion. That's an all-year-round series in the Mercedes W13E Performance. He is lightning quick in this sim, and he's proving that he doesn't just do it in modern machinery and fantasy machinery, he does it in the classics too.
But not only that, he's doing it in a sports car. His pedigree is open rear wet racing. So he's in a sports car, and he's also in multi-class. So to transfer some of those skills, it's just a real tip of the hat here. Not a lot of drivers can say they can drive an open wheel and a sports car. Andreas Valeteas is the first man that comes to my head that I would think about as well. And I think the name's gone, one of the Apex Racing Team drivers as well. Doug, I can't remember. Anyway, you get the idea. This is tough. And then he backs it up with some real good multi-class etiquette here. And we saw that when he made that overtake. He understands what to do, and he really gets to put it to toe. This is really the man that you start to wonder, well, if he pulls away, who can keep up with him?
That is the question that needs to continually be asked, and Nicholas Mukanos is doing a great job of holding himself together at this stage. All this contact for the leader of GTO as Joran van Hicks has a side bet out there with Joshua HT Lowe, which was never any good if you have that. Shadi Ahmad's trying to work through against Ilka Kotasalo. This is on 4th, 5th and 6th because subliminally you've got Brendan Lim, and behind that Pepe Fuentes is starting to make some moves too. So can Pepe find himself a chance to make a move somewhere. He'll look to the outside behind Shadi Ahmad, who is representing Dr. Congo's office out there, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Howdy, my friend, going around there in 7th position, looking for 6th.
Yeah, he's looking for 6th, and I wonder if he does get a good run here to try and look for this. He'll take the high line, and Brendan Lim controls where they go, because you'll see where the traffic is. But we got to get back to this battle as well, and we'll try and go picture in picture as much as we can as Mechanos continues to hold on. And now the traffic is getting more spread out, and now there's not a lot of opportunities to make some moves. I can report Pepe Fuentes, as you just see, just made that move by, and that's an important overtake to get past the GTO there from Reed, because otherwise Mechanos would have had a great shot into this corner, and that wasn't him trying to make a move, that was him trying to make sure he stays on the rear wing of the champion.
Yeah, trying to find a way through on Mate Larinci, the Hungarian driver there, and managing so. On the brakes then once again, in through turn 8, which is a great place to pass, but then you've got the banking to go and work with as you challenge. I think you're going to need about 0.3 of a second margin going onto the banking to have a shot of victory on the final lap. And down the inside of Brendan Lim now tries Sean Langton, trying to find a little bit of a look, and he's not quite there. And now they're going to try and sneak a bit of slipstream off of Paul Clavier, and they will look at Pepe Fuentes and go, well, parity is parity is parity. I can stay in the range of that. But look at the run that Sean Langton starts to pick up. Defended to the inside, and now it's about who's bravest. Round the outside, clearance there, side by side. Nothing between them in towards turn 2. Langton hang out on the outside. Brendan Lim, great job.
Brendan had to do late braking there because Langton got a bit of slipstream from Pepe Fuentes there in front. And somehow Brendan, in that purple people eater, managed to eat the curves. I saw Sean catching the grass a little bit, and for a moment I thought they were going to come together. Real good driving from both drivers there to really just hold it. But Brendan has to be aware now that can happen to him. The way the GTOs are taking the line coming off NASCAR 4, officially turn 10 here, is going to spook a lot of these GTPs. This is the second time they've been through them. You would like to think now they've got the idea, because fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, Nicholas Mechanos, shame on me, goes Jacob Reed.
I also want to talk GTO, because Noel Lundberg's turned around Carlos Fonseca on the last lap, as now around the outside, Nicholas Mechanos says, back at you with a move like that. He retakes the race lead right in front of Morse, Friesen, Lake and Schuster. 4-car scrap going on for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th in GTO. Becomes an interesting trade-off as Mechanos will get the clearance late on the brakes. Not going to work, but you're going to pick it up on the exit, Jacob. Yes, good lad. Trying to get that run and any drive off of the exit. But Lundberg drops 2 seconds by tagging around a GTP.
Yeah, and that's not what he wanted to see. He's off the pace now. He's off the pack as well. Top 2 are on their own. Lundberg's on his own. Schuster only has Philip Lake, Mickey Friesen and Henry Morse and all these cars right by. And it's interesting, if you're watching Fonseca, this was the moment we were talking about. I think Carlos probably lost the gear there and probably caught Lundberg off there for a moment. Now, what we just saw through 6 and 7, carbon copy with different drivers from what these two had to do a few laps ago. They're going to have to do it all over again. The track temp hasn't changed as well, Jake. It's 55 Celsius out there. Do you prefer a full English? I think I can make it on the track here.
Yeah, I think you can. Well, if you jump out the commentary box, get your full English in play, I'm sure that you can do up 2 in the remaining time here with race time left. But for the moment, it is Mechanos holding himself steady as they now look to battle the top 2 in GTP with the top 2 in GTO. Doug Cloud is going to be the one who gets shuffled out of the way then through turn 6, and you're going to see a lot of that. He's going to have to work a little bit harder here to dictate line. If he can do that better with the GTOs, he's got a much better chance of catching Joram van Hicks.
And the key thing is, I've looked at the stats. Doug Cloud, after over 120 starts on the broadcast, still the man who wants to hail from Bermuda, having a nice cold day there with no lights on, yet to win a broadcast race. And you've got to feel, with the way he's been driving this season, this really feels like this is the time, this is the race, but the amount of GTP traffic right now is really causing him issues out there. He might lose some more time in the next few corners with Lesniak coming up behind him. This is really a chance for him to take it. Last time he had a best chance, Imola, 2 years ago in a fuel race.
Look, GTP traffic is one thing. How about GTO on GTO traffic, which will be coming up soon for Doug Cloud? That will be even worse to deal with because you've got no chance of gaining acceleration through the corners to get that cleared up. So that's another element coming along in the second half of this race. What happens when the GTOs have to figure each other out? Speaking of figuring out here, Philip Lake is going to have to figure out how to deal with Mickey Friesen here. And oh, Mickey, what a pity you can't find the pass right now. He's hoping for a way to go and get that move sorted. But again, there are cars waiting behind. Pepe Fuentes wants to try and find a way through with the silk cut Jaguar livery behind. Brendan Lim soon to be on the horizon.
Well, he's going to be roaring past them very shortly, and there he goes. And Friesen is really the man that everyone wants to keep their eyes on. Consistency key, been really keeping it consistent, but I don't think the P6 is where he wants to be today. And with 15 minutes to go, you've got to feel like if he wants to make a move, he's going to have to do it soon. They realize the traffic's non-stop now. Now's the time for the GTOs to use that traffic to their advantage. If a GTP wants to punch a hole through and grab a position on the track, the GTO should follow. That is the only way I feel Friesen's going to get this, because Lake's got the toe from Schuster. These guys may cause it as well. They're going to make this battle. Is this going to be a move for Jacob Fried? I don't think so. No one's got around the outside of 8 today, Jake, and I think he's just going to set himself up.
Oh, and Seligoy behind locks it up massively, and that would have been scary in the rear view for Jacob Reed and Nicholas Mucanos. Now, how do you go and make this pass? It's cover the inside line, which is the best form of defense here for Mucanos. 0.2 of a second is the margin, and the run out of 4. This is a fantastic indicator when they come to the line. The gap over the line between them was just 0.03 of a second in favor of Mucanos, but Jacob Reed doesn't mind. He'll go around the outside of 1, of 2, and if he can hold it here around 3, inside of 4 will unlock. Oh, that's sensational. Jacob Reed, the Worcesterman, is in flying form.
What an overtake. We didn't think around the outside was possible. Using all the downforce possible, he gets it stuck. And a fantastic move from Jacob. And you've got to give your hats off to Mucanos for trusting him as well. He had to make a little bit of a move there to also scrub some of the speed off himself, did Mucanos. That allowed Jacob to make that move. And now on board with the 007 cam. This is all Reed. But 2 seconds up the road is some GTP traffic. Speaking of other traffic, the GTOs, Doug Cloud has had a really bad couple of laps. He's losing out.
And Sean Langston now brings himself into the mix here, because that's Seamus Power making progress then in the number 13 machine and finding that pass on Langton. And behind that is Shadi Ahmad, who has dropped back from 5th position where he was previously. Mucanos now trying again around the outside. Not going to get there. There's a GTP off the road in front of them. That's Carlos Fonseca, and they're now going to really slow up here with Brandon White, who's having a poor day at the office here. So suddenly it gets a little bit interesting. No drive from Fonseca, and somehow to the outside, these two are able to avoid any further dramas as they hit the brakes into the corner. This is very sketchy stuff that they've got to manage themselves through, and they are managing to do so, which is great on both drivers.
Yeah, good from both drivers, and also a shout out to those lap traffic cars that realized what was going on and made sure that they didn't cause much of an issue. And they didn't really. Viramaki just did what a GTO should do and kept to his racing line, and they managed to get around him. That's enough issue though for Mucanos, because it means he could not get on the throttle and make a good run out of this. So he'll be forced to try and go around the outside again. And every time he's had that outside line going into 1, he brakes, he stops, he doesn't even bother. He just accepts that he can't do what Jacob did, but he's got such a good run right now. I wonder if he's going to have to do it this time. He can't again, but hard on the brakes will go Reed, because there's traffic up ahead, a little bit of a slide. I feel at some point Mucanos is going to have to pull the trigger.
Well, they're now going to start getting difficult here because that's Ian Haycox, and he's desperate to try and stay in range of Paul Clavier in front, so he steals away the chance of Mucanos to make that move. Last thing you want is a gap, and traffic not playing ball for Nicholas Mucanos, but you understand the position of Ian Haycox then, and suddenly there is a car between them and a gap that has skyrocketed out by comparison to 1 second. Look at Mucanos, he has to take to the grass to go and get by Steve McLean right now. No way Steve McQueen would see that. That was a movie pass.
That was a movie pass because he expected Steve to move over quicker. And the moment he wanted to start to make that move, he realized he wasn't. And then Steve did a hesitation there. This is the issue with multi-class sometimes. The slower cars will probably have a little bit of hesitation, which causes more hesitation. And all of that has caused a 1.5 second gap now between the leaders. And that is not what Mucanos want to see, because I'm looking at the track map. It's going to be a while till they hit GTO traffic. It's just GTP traffic. Here's Mickey Friesen. Also, the lead battle is back on the cards.
They had a scare because Kurt Hau Jensen was on the side of the road, right in front of the leaders here, and Jacob Reeds lost 0.3 of a second, avoiding action from Kurt Hau Jensen, who was parked right on the apex exit. We got a car spun around. That's Felix Nilsson, who's turned around in the 38 as well. There's the Golf livery out there, and at this point in time, oh, he's just done it trying to put power down. He spun the rears up and put it into a spin on his own. Philip Lake now brings himself into a scrap. Doug Cloud back in range of Joram van Heks.
Back in range of Joram van Heks, as we see if Philip Lake can do anything here. He can't. He's right in the back of Schuster. Schuster's got some help. Well, he did have some help as Kubit decides he's just going to let them all by, and that's probably good for these two because it means Friesen loses out. He's going to have to battle with Morse behind them, and I'm pretty sure that's not the Morse you and I know, Jake. That is not a British Morse.
No, but at the moment, it's a case of Inspector Morse trying to find a way through, and he cannot do anything but inspect the rear of the car there of Mickey Friesen as they put the lap on Rob Kubat then as they walk on by. So there is still a lot to deal with 9 minutes remaining. This is where drivers turn around, look at each other and go, this is go time. There are no other alternatives out there. You have just got to run.
You've got to run, and like Lombardi once said, you run to win. And that's what Lake's doing right now. He's running, well, he's kind of trotting with that horsepower in the engine, and he can't find the line. He tried to go down low, try and find a gap. There was no gap onto Schuster. He's going to have to think about this. Robert Plumley's going to be behind them, and Plumley realizes the situation and goes, I'm not racing anybody. In fact, no GTP's racing anybody right now. No gap is less than a second in the GTP, so they said that there was one gap that now disappeared. These are our closest battles with Lake and Schuster in the whole field with 8 minutes to go.
And to talk about that really difficult range of drivers who are out, I count just the 6 who are out of this race. Emilio Dechari, Jesse Holcomb. And let's add Robert Plumley into the mix there. Contact with Philip Lake. Oh, that is disastrous as they went through. Lake will look around at that and go, what on earth just happened there for Robert Plumley into the corner? I think he might have tried to fight Andreas Schuster into it and decided he's going to be on the wrong side.
He basically tried to make the overtake onto Schuster. He was too slow on the exit of 6 on Schuster, and Schuster just decided to tap the rear wing. Well, not on purpose, of course. Had to tap the rear wing because he didn't realize Plumley wasn't up to speed, and that was just enough to spin him, and he managed to do a double kill there on accident. Schuster taking out for Plumley, and then Philip Lake. And Lake, I don't know how he's going to keep on going, because that car is looking like a tour mod on a modified road course.
It is not great for Philip Lake right now, it has to be said, but it is road legal according to the stewards or the iRacing stewards to say that he can still go and find a finish with a car as dented up as that. We call this sometimes a modified circuit, a Roval, and that looks like a modified Audi.
Well, it does indeed, but I wonder if he'll lose the hood very shortly. I'm not sure. We will have to keep our eyes. I'll tell you what I was keeping my eyes on. The gap for the leaders is under a second in GTP. All of a sudden that's happened, and that may go again. And it is actually going to happen as turn 2 has happened a lot there, Jake. You were keeping your eyes on it.
I was. Doug Cloud has found a bucket of understeer into turn number 2. The car just did not want to turn in the heat. The tyres letting go, and ultimately also trying to find a way past Luke Seligoy, who's not going to help either. So that brings him back into range of Noel Lumberg. At the moment, oh no, Ian Haycox goes around. Javier Mosquera takes the tap.
Yep, not what we wanted to see, and it just looks like it was just a cornucopia of cars there that just caused it. It was a bunched up thing. This is Robert Plumley again. Makes the move. You could argue a little bit late there. He doesn't have the speed, and a tap of the rear there happened, and it just sent everybody around and caused that chaos. We're back here with Lumberg. He's in that battle now with Doug Cloud, and I'll tell you what I've noticed. It may be 1 o'clock in the afternoon sim time. It is now 59 Celsius, 139 Fahrenheit. We're going to lengths I've never seen before.
I think we're going to start seeing, if this track was anything short of being wonderfully laid asphalt, we would see it starting to break up and even melt underneath. It is a truly frighteningly hot circuit at this moment, and Noel Lumberg right now trying to work a way to second will soon have the leading duo overall, approaching with 5 minutes to go. Buchanos hunting down a 1.5 second gap now to 8/9 of a second. He's keeping this one honest. Lumberg will also have to get through with Kike Mengual, who is there on the outside, now turns to the inside. This is where it gets difficult. They leave the room then for Jacob Reed, makes it easy. He gets the clearance of the 3. Guess who doesn't? This guy behind, Nicholas Mucanos. Oh, what horrible luck, and almost a tap from Mengual into Noel Lumberg. Suddenly that gap becomes 2.3 seconds, and Jacob Reed, I think, has just found his salvo.
I think he may have found the salvo. He's got he's got 1 car left to go, and then he's got 3 corners on the track to be able to just wait until more traffic. He's calm right now. He gets to breathe a sigh of relief. But Van Hicks having a little bit of a hold up there on Jacob Reed. That's going to help Mechanos for 2/10. Nothing more, nothing less. Doug Cloud, he was on the attack for the lead. He's now on the defense for P2. Lumberg will want that second place. He's going to have to fight this. We know Cloud is a very good defender.
Well, if you're the best at defence, they say that defence wins championships, and here is someone who personifies that in Doug Cloud. Noel Lumberg will find every way he can to try and apply the pressure and work through. Look at that high line in from Doug Cloud, trying to take a late turn in. That's also to try and save tyres through the middle of the corner and get drive off the exit. It's a wonderful bit of work, and then in through the opening section, both of them straddling the curb through turn 1 into turn 2, and is there room for a lunge at turn 3? Just not enough drive.
Not enough drive at this moment. He's going to have to think about his opportunity. I don't think there's a shot at 6. But I tell you what, it's 60 Celsius now. They need treble tops to try and make a move here. And you've got to feel that these guys have to go for the top to make this move right now. But again, Lumberg realizes you can't break late. You can't bomb in these cars. You're going to have to wait for the opportunity. And with the cars coming up behind them, that's a Lesniak. 2 seconds behind is Cortesalo. This might be a chance for Lumberg to catch Cloud sleeping if Cortesalo catches up to them.
Well, at the moment, you need more than one wing as an angel to find a way past Cloud at this point in time, and Noel Lumberg is desperate for this move in the dying embers of this 5th round of the IMSA Vintage Series right now. This is what happened to Ian Haycox through the middle of the corner, so he was already scrapping through turn 3. There was contact there. In through turn 4 as Lumberg now looks to pivot to try and make the move. He gets out on the curb and gets a turn around, and now trying to switch away to the inside. Has to lift out of it through the opening corner, but he can now be aggressive into turn number 2, and Doug Cloud pretty much finds what he needs. He knows he doesn't need no Phoenix Downs to go and hold his place.
I think he may need an elixir here all of a sudden, maybe a mega elixir to get himself recharged and refreshed for these final 2 minutes. It's the 2-minute warning here, and they're still going to have to do 3 laps. This is the nature of this battle right now. Henry Morse, we haven't talked a lot about him recently, but he's in this battle with Mickey Friesen. He could get a really surprising P4 right now as he battles, but Friesen breaks later, and who breaks later again? Henry Morse, side by side, and Schuster gives him a bump on the rear saying, get going, we're trying to have a battle here.
Zeligoy in the middle of that, and then you got Fonseca, Grau, and Bramble all there in and around to the outside. Tries the look then from Henry Morse to get it done, and they're going to make contact in the middle of the corner. Ferran Grau basically has to stand on the pedals to try and make sure he goes through the corner safely, and manages to do so. What a magical moment here. And remember, Mickey Friesen's trying to hold any amount of pointage he can for championship right now, with Joram van Hicks clear at the front of this field. Lundberg still staring down the barrel of Doug Cloud, looking for a way through. We're into the final minute of this race, and your leaders right now will indicate that they will have another lap yet to serve.
Yeah, Jacob Reed's going to have to take the banking for the penultimate time, as he will come by very shortly for the white flag. But these guys are going to have to do it all over again. And has Lundberg found it late on the brakes? I don't think he has, because that belongs to Cloud. They're going to go side by side, and this is going to need more than a Buster Sword to split them up, and Cloud defends around the outside.
Brilliant stuff between them, knowing that they've got a lap and a bit to figure it out. Jacob Reed will take the final lap then of this race. Noel Lundberg throwing himself in on the radio as Fabian Youngblood, then as he gets by Sean Langton for position and moves himself up. But now it's about this draft. Where do you go? Noel Lundberg, you've tried up, you've tried down, you've tried left, you've tried right, you've tried Charlie and the Chocolate Factory's great glass elevator to go and make a move. It's not worked. What do you have left in the back pocket? Big wide line, trying to use the slope to help, and to the outside line he thinks about it. Has to leave the door open for Ferran Grau to jump through, and that might be the sanctum needed. Grau struggles through the middle of the corner, and there is nowhere to go and make that pass. Doug Cloud has clearance, and onto the banking for the final time. What a masterclass in working away through the traffic. It took one small mistake from Nicholas Mucanos, and Jacob Reed pounced. The Worcesterman is winning again. 4 out of 5 this season. He is simply unstoppable. A win for Jacob Reed. Mucanos will take second, and it will be a wait for your third place of Christopher Lenejak and Joram van Hicks as well, leaving the banking, and there's still a half chance. There's a great chance now here for the move for second. Go back to that. Fonseca had stood it up, going through onto the banking, and look at what it's left going on to the final lap. Doug Cloud now has to just hope and pray, because here comes Noel Lundberg around the outside looking for second place. Joram van Hicks will take GTO. Lundberg, no drive, great drag race, but Doug Cloud, what a hold.
What a hole from Doug Cloud. It all happened with Fonseca losing a gear coming out of the final court, the turn 8. And there's also more battle still going on. Henry Morse could not get past Mickey Friesen. Neither could Andreas Schuster. They're going on. Roman Bello still trying to find a little bit of a drag race. A lot of damage here on Matej Larinski. Maybe he gets it, but there's not enough power. And in the final power bend there, Matt is going to take that. He will take 8th. Bello will take 9th, and Josh Brain behind them. Good recovery for Josh after that opening incident. He'll come home in P10.
Good effort as well on his Ross Chastain impression there through the final corner as he tagged the banking. But what a drive and what a driver you have in the form of Jacob Reed. He is lightning quick when he chooses to be, and when he doesn't choose to be, he is always not that far away. Joram van Hicks picking up a huge result as well. And as we see quite a lot with the GTO, it's Driftville.
Well, in this temperature, it's now 61 Fahrenheit. You might as well not bother with tyres. Can tyres even survive these temperatures right now? Go on, Van Hicks. You've deserved a bit of drifting. Another win in your cap for another season. And really, you've just gone past the finish line. You can do some donuts, because we're at NASCAR country.
We are. It's a case of burn it down if you want to, and he will do so. And Endo up against the wall, and we'll get confirmation of result then here for racing action at Homestead Miami Speedway. Jacob Reed, 40 minutes, 44 seconds, a margin of victory at the end of today, 3.7 over the line over Nicholas Mucanos, who fought hard and valiantly in his attempt to stop Jacob Reed. No dice on this occasion. Christophe Lenajak will round out the podium with Ilka Cotasalo in 4th and Pepe Fuentes in 5th position. Brendan Lim, a nice consistent 6th place for him ahead of Seamus Power. Ferran Grau, a couple of spins here today. He finds himself in 8th ahead of Fabian Youngbluth and Sean Langton, losing that out then with a lap to go. Rounds out your top 10. Not a day for second in the championship, Shadi Ahmad, 11th overall, and this will go down surely as a drop round the way this season has gone about, with Javier Mosquera, the last car of GTP, on the lead lap, with the likes of Davide Ricciardi there in 13th, Joshua H.T. Lowe in 14th, Andres Felipe Diaz in 15th, and Carlos Fonseca will be 16th, with Brandon White and Kurt Hau Jensen the last cars ahead of those leading in category. Retirees include Felix Nielsen and Robert Plumley there, the world of Kinducci, in all sorts of trouble, along with Forbes Marshall, Danny Thomas and Jesse Hokum in trouble, the number 47 car. Lowest iRacing in the field goes a little bit lower. We'll go to GTO with Craig King.
Yeah, well, Johan Van Hicks got the lead early doors and never lost it. He takes the victory away from Doug Cloud, who's still looking for that win. Just pipping Noah Lundberg at the line there. A late surge was not to be, and Mickey Friesen does make up one spot, but it's a P4. He will lose the championship lead. Henry Morse will be in 5th with Andreas Schuster down into 6th, and Philip Lake, with that modified car, finishes in 7th. Matteo Lorenzi will be in 8th, up 5, and Roman Bello will be in 9th. And Josh Brain, what a recovery after that lap 1 incident, to come home in 10th. Then in 11th, it's Aitor Sintet Galindo with Steve McLean, that's right, not McLean, in 12th, up 7. Paul Clavier will be in 13th. 14th for Henry Viamaki, and then it's 8 places up to 15th for Kike Mangao. 16th for Luke Stilio, and then 17th Tyler Bramble. Shane Hawkins lost 10 positions today. He'll be in 18th with Rob Kubat in 19th. Estario Alvarez will be 20th. And then we'll get, unfortunately, to those drivers with problems and also retirees. Ian Haycox finishes 4 laps down. Martin Kraytrick was retired early. Emerson Gordon, we saw what happened to him. Emilio Chari, one of the lap 1 incident makers, or unfortunate makers.
Well, there are always dramas to befold over the course of racing like this. We're going to get a chance to walk down the paddock and talk to a couple of drivers. Craig King is stood by with Aitor Sintes Galindo.
Yeah, Aitor is here, and second week in a GTO. Again, I'm still getting used to it. But what a place to try and drive, because Homestead is a tricky place with these GTOs.
Yeah. To be fair, Craig, so do I. So do I. Trying to learn the car and the combinations itself. It's. I changed my mind and it's like, let's try the Audi, so just for a change to see how it works on this lower class. And so far, I mean, I've been not disappointed, which is kind of the mindset that was going on. I was like, oh, I'm gonna do a horrible race and do a bad show. But to be fair, I mean, I'm learning the car and also learning the gearbox itself, which is also this thing. So yeah, I mean, I'm out of the top 10, but also considering the fact that I dodged a couple cars and also had to, I had an incident. Sorry, Fran, if you are listening. That I'll take the P11 and a lot of learning, and moving on to next week.
Well, one of the things I've always said to drivers who want to learn multi-class traffic is to drive the slowest car. And that's what you're doing now. And I know it's a new experience to you, but do you understand, or have you understood, especially in this race, how chaotic that traffic can be when those GTPs are going super fast? It really must be a case of keeping all eyes on the rearview mirror.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I had a couple of moments in turn 1 specifically that some Nissan sent it on the turn one, and I had to drive with one eye on the mirror and another eye on the track. It was quite the experience, not gonna lie. I mean, I've been used to that, but also I've been the guy who was sending it all the time. But then again, I mean, it's a nice experience to learn the car itself as well, because I mean, the traffic I know is chaotic. I also have to learn the commitment that the Audi has to do, because at least in the oval, you have to drive it like a Gen 4 car because you have to lift throttle, and you cannot go full throttle on the oval. And it was like, oh, so yeah, you have to commit to the line, and yeah, it's a learning experience for. I mean, it's a learning experience for me, and also let's say well. Something that I was like, oh, when I went with the Nissan, yeah, I'm gonna send it here, and yeah, they won't mind it much, right? Nah, yeah, I can see their points when they complain about Nissan dive bombing, but yeah, overall, I think it's a good experience to drive the Audi. Besides the inline 5 engine, also it's very pleasing to watch. Sorry, to listen.
Well, I know that next week we are at Mosport, but the thing that makes me interested is in a few weeks' time, we go to Charlotte Roval and then Daytona Roval, which brings me to my final question for you is, you've now had some experience on a Roval. Can you take what you have learned here today and put it to use at a Daytona or a Charlotte Roval later in the season?
It's a very good question. Probably yes. I mean, considering the fact that I'm coming out of the race satisfied with the Audi, I'm not discarding the fact that probably gonna do it on the Audi as well. And yeah, it's also learning. It's an experience that I'll probably bring up to Charlotte, especially Daytona as well. I think it's Daytona Oval, and NASCAR, or just the normal one. I don't know which one, but regardless, it's gonna be the same more or less with hairpins and lots of traction zones. So yeah, gonna look forward to this one, but also especially for next week at Mosport, because as a matter of fact, I won a couple of races in there with a Nissan, so it's now it's a decision. It's like, do I want to? I mean, no, probably not, because the Nissans are super fast this week. But regardless, it's a decision to make. But yeah, looking forward to the Rovals and also next week as well.
Well, the gauntlet's been put down. He's won in a GTP around Mosport. Maybe he will win next week in a GTO. That could be one to keep your eyes out for. But Aitor, thank you once again for coming in. P11 in the race today. Started 11th, finished 11th, but still a result you can be proud of.
So thanks, guys, and see you next week at Mosport.
We will see you then, hopefully. And Jake, I think we will see everybody next week, but that will do it all for Homestead today.
Homestead has proven to be a very difficult race on the calendar, but one where those who are able to get results today will have a huge smile on their faces, because they have firstly survived and secondly found themselves at the very top. I want to give a massive thanks to the team that has brought this show over to you here today, from the likes of Dougie Beard's cameras, Christian Deploy in the director's chair, and Craig King alongside me. I'm Jake Sperry, and this has been a Genesis Extreme production. In terms of next up here on the Global Sim Racing Channel, in 7 days' time, we hit the halfway stage of the season, and we do so at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. GTO and GTP will have a really, really good battle out there, and we will see what happens when we head over to Bowmanville, Ontario, Canada with that next round. And in terms of the other races that you can catch with us, the Major Series will be on tomorrow, and that will be taking over Sonoma over in California. You look over to Classic Lotus Grand Prix tomorrow. That tackles Portland in terms of its next challenge. That'll be a wonderful battleground to see. And then Grand Prix Legends have their oval round next week at Phoenix Oval before we jump back again with Mosport. So that's what comes up on the horizon. We look forward to that. But as far as it goes, it's a case for Joran van Hicks to return to a rightful place up on top of the championship with that win. A wonderful display of breaking away at the right time, at the right place. But it is going to be a great battle to come along as well in GTP, because there is perfection that is being found on the horizon. 4 of the first 5. His name is Jacob Reed, and his name is one to be feared. We'll see you in 7 days when we tackle along with Mosport.
This is iRacing.